If you have listened to this podcast from the beginning, you might get the impression that sculpture predates paintings and drawings. And you wouldn't be wrong. It certainly appears that way, especially in Europe. Asia is another story. Anyway, drawings. As you know, if you have a stick, you can make doodles in the sand or a mud, or in the melting snow. These creations don't last a week due to the elements. So, my question is, when did we start drawing? We may never know. A mantra of this podcast. It makes me wonder, what compelled our ancestors to create art in the first place? Was it a desire to communicate, a need to express the intangible, or perhaps it was an early attempt to understand and connect with the world around them? It's a mystery, but art is what truly means to be human. I often think about these people. I'm reading a lot about Paleolithic art, but I do think about people in different epochs of human history. Cultures and technologies change, religions change, but the essence of humans remains the same. Humans today are not very different from any humans in history. We dream, we have goals, we love, we mourn our dead, we share with each other's good and bad, we fall in love, we have friends, enemies. We do everything the same as people did it through history. The oldest drawings in Europe are actually etched lines in the stone. These lines are carved with a flint on a rock. So far, we have found the oldest drawings that are deeply engraved in ivory, Castanet, and La Fraisier, all three in Dordogne, in modern-day France. The most reliably dated early engravings come from Père, perhaps around 25,000 years ago. At Gargas, the drawings are not easy to date, and those at Pech Merle may be Solitarian or even early Magdalenian. Many of the animals drawn on stone, or less often bone, or painted in outline show the understanding of the essential character of the subject. There is a beautiful bison in still position on the wall of the cave of La Grèze in Dordogne. It is drawn in profile. The line of sight shows only two legs, but the head and horns viewed from the front. This twisted perspective was used in so many caves. Horses from Père have the elongated head and pitched muzzle, which is also a recurring style. These engravings are probably made 20,000 years ago. In Istritz, in modern-day France, part of a bone javelin made in late Aurignacian or Upper Gravettian has an engraved horse. The back and the neck are drawn in what is a single strong, confident line. The line is interrupted at the muzzle by the detached strokes. Later again, somewhere around 20,000 years ago, a baton found in Dordogne has two engraved mammoths facing each other with the tails and the long hair of the coat in a fine impressionist strokes. Animals are often painted, or in this case engraved, in whole profile, both their bodies and faces. The ancient people of Predmosty in Moravia, in modern-day Czech Republic, were mammoth hunters like those of Dolní Věstonice not far away. Some artist, or the artists, reduced the human body to a pattern of lines and dashes. This need to turn things into concepts and to generalize, it shows us that these people have preferences in style. The difficulty of rendering a three-dimensional object as a two-dimensional outline is great enough, but the frontal view is seldom attempted by Paleolithic artists. The Predmosty engraving is based on natural shapes. The proportion of the body are suggested, but made as symmetrical patterns. The outline of the breasts of the two-dimensional projection of Dolní Věstonice figurine It is similar to the female figurine from Dolny Bestonice. But I do wonder, is this a mask? Or possibly tattooing? This concludes this episode. I want to thank you for joining and listening. I hope I inspired you. I hope you learned something.